This video is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. I'm Michigan Sports Talk here, and in this one we got the Week 1 season opener Michigan vs. Fresno State preview video. Gonna be going over everything you guys need to know about this matchup, key players, key statistics, and ultimately what to expect from both teams in this matchup. So we're gonna go ahead and get right into it here. It is the season opener for both these teams. It'll be kickoff at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time in the Big House. Coverage is on NBC and Peacock. Now, right now, according to the ESPN matchup predictor, Michigan has an 89% chance to win this. Fresno State an 11% chance. Now, currently the spread is Michigan by 20.5. Over under is set at 45.5, and that is on the BetUS website, which I did want to give a shout out to BetUS, the sponsor of this video and this channel throughout the football season, guys. They have all the odds you need this football season, and if you're gonna bet on Michigan this season, you might as well use BetUS, because currently BetUS is offering a 125% deposit match on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000. How can you pass that up? They also offer 24/7 customer service and the fastest payouts in the industry. So what are you waiting for? Click the link below to get started. Thank you, I appreciate it. But to start out here, I did want to talk about returning production for both these teams, because I think this is very interesting. Fresno State, they are 52nd in total returning production with 64% production returning. Meanwhile, Michigan is 128th in total returning production with 36% production returning out of 134 teams. So we kind of already knew that, Michigan, they were losing a ton of starters from last season, but Fresno State, they rank 14th in offensive returning production with 80% returning and 106th in defense with 48% returning. Meanwhile, Michigan ranks 132nd in offensive returning production with only 24% and 109th in defense with 47%. So right off the rip here, Fresno State's offense, if they want a chance in pulling the upset off, their offense could be the reason why. And I know, Michigan's defense, they are supposed to be absolutely stellar this season, one of the best defenses in college football, and that's why I think it's going to be a nice early challenge for this Michigan defense, because Fresno State has a lot of players returning on the offensive side, including their quarterback, Mikey Keene. He was an All-Mountain West honorable mention last season. He was a UCF transfer before transferring to Fresno State last season, and last season he completed 67% of his passes for 2,976 yards and 24 touchdowns with 10 interceptions. Now, he did get the ball out in 2.48 seconds on average last season. Now, he did play through an injury last season that did end up hurting Fresno State. I mean, when you look at their schedule from last season, it was a really good team. They were 5-0 to start the season. Mikey Keene started to have injury problems. They lost, but then they won 3 more in a row. So they started out 8-1, but then lost 3 straight to close out the season, ending 8-4 and 4-4 in conference play. They did win their bowl game against New Mexico State 37-10 though, and again, they're also returning 80% offensive production, which ranks 14th best in FBS. So this is a pretty solid team that Michigan is going to open the season up against. And last season, Fresno State did rely heavily on the pass game. They averaged 39.8 passes per game last season, 9th highest, while the run game did struggle for them, just 105.5 rushing yards per contest. So Fresno State wants success, at least offensive success. It might have to come through the air with their experienced quarterback in Mikey Keene, and they also have their wide receivers Mac Delina. They also have Chedon James and Jalen Moss. Now, Chedon James is a transfer, Idaho State transfer, and he led the FCS with 102 total receptions, ranking 4th in the division with 1,045 receiving yards and had 8 touchdowns. And Jalen Moss also had 706 receiving yards last season with 6 touchdowns for Fresno State as a freshman. Then at tight end, they have Jake Boost and also Cameron Beecham. Another thing Fresno State has going for them is some pretty good experience on the offensive line. Although last season, Fresno State, weren't able to really run the ball too much. But Fresno State also has their senior running back out of Malik Sherrod, who carried the ball 172 times for 966 yards and 9 touchdowns in 12 outings last season. So those are some key players on the offensive side. Look for Fresno State to, if they have any success, potentially that success being through the air. But you look at Michigan's defense, they lost a lot of starters from last season, obviously, but they got dudes. There were some banged up players. Rashawn Benny, Wink Martindale said, potentially won't be 100%, but he should be able to play. As far as Mason Graham, he was banged up during fall camp, but he did say Tuesday night after practice that I feel good and I was full speed today, so he should be good to go against Fresno State. And Michigan's defensive line, I tell you what, I almost feel bad for Fresno State's offensive line. You got Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant in the middle, and then on the outside, Josiah Stewart and Derek Moore. Linebackers, Ernest Hausman, Jashawn Barham. And then as far as cornerbacks, Will Johnson and Jair Hill should be your 2 cornerbacks, and at nickelback should be Zeke Berry, and at safety, it'll probably be Makari Page and Quentin Johnson. So like I said earlier in the video, should be a good challenge for Michigan's defense, given the fact that Fresno State has 80% returning production on the offensive side, but I still think they're going to dominate in this game, and it would be a huge tone setter for them if they have good success leading up to the Texas game. Really what I'm looking for in Michigan's defense is seeing who is going to step up, deep down in the depth chart. We know the starters are good, but who's going to step up and provide depth this season for Michigan? That is the main question mark. We know they got talent. We went over guys on the depth chart all off season, but now it's time to see them in action. Then you look at Michigan's offense, again, returning just 24% returning production on the offensive side. One of the worst percentages in all of FBS, 132nd out of 134 teams. They had to replace their whole offensive line, which that offensive line is still going to be good, and they have a chance to prove it, this Saturday against Fresno State. But obviously the main question mark is at quarterback. We expect Alex Orji to be the starter to start out. Davis Warren has not gone away though, and we could potentially see them both playing in this game. And I've said it before, obviously Michigan's running back room, they are loaded. They got Donovan Edwards, Kalel Mullings. That 1-2 punch is going to be nasty. As far as running back 3, they got Jordan Marshall, the freshman, coming in, who could take that over, but they also have Benjamin Hall, Cole Cabana, Tavir Dunlap, and at wide receiver they got talent. They got Samaj Morgan, Tyler Morris, Frederick Moore, and also transfers Amorion Walker, CJ Charleston. I also think Peyton O'Leary has a chance to add some depth, as well as sophomore Kendrick Bell. But at the end of the day, the offense all comes down to the quarterback. Can Michigan have a quarterback that leads them down the field, can go and score points, and potentially in the closing games this season, potentially early in the season against Texas, if they're down a possession, can the offense respond and keep them in this game? So the offense this season is going to revolve around the quarterback play, and this Saturday we get a first look at the quarterback play. And if I was Fresno State, obviously Michigan, their identity is running the ball. If Michigan is able to run the ball a lot, you could potentially see very few possessions in this game, because I honestly don't know if Michigan will really even show that much on offense due to the fact they played Texas in week 2. So to start out the game, I would not be surprised if you see Fresno State stacking the box, just prepping to stop the run early and force who we assume will be quarterback Alex Orji to throw the ball and force Michigan to have success through the air rather than on the ground. Fresno State, they do have an experienced group of linebackers and a deep defensive line. Last season they had 2.3 sacks per game, which ranked 49th in the country, so pass rush was a strength of theirs last season. And the defensive line, they got depth. They can go about 10 deep. At defensive tackle, they have Gabriel Lightfoot and Kavika Bumgartner. Hopefully I said that name right, and all these names for that matter. But at defensive end, they got Corey Foreman and Devo Bridges. Those will be your starters. Corey Foreman was actually a USC transfer, former 5-star in the 2021 class, so they definitely got talent at the defensive line. Devo Bridges is a 6th-year senior. Bumgartner totaled 13 tackles, 1 quarterback hurry as a backup last season. season, and Lightfoot has started 15 career games, including 12 last season, and had 20 tackles, 1.5 for loss, 3 quarterback hurries in 2023. Then at linebacker, they have Malachi Langley, Tuasivi Nomura, and also Phoenix Jackson. And it also looks like they have a pretty experienced defensive back group as well, including senior quarterback Cam Lockridge, who did get injured last season, but he had 5 interceptions in the 2022 season. So with all that taken into consideration, this Michigan offensive line is going to be challenged early in the season, not only obviously against Texas, which they have lost some people on the defensive line from last season, but also by this Fresno State team. They have a deep defensive line. So the keys to the game for me is first, quarterback play for Michigan. Whoever the quarterback is, you cannot turn the ball over early in this game and give Fresno State any momentum and early advantage, because this is a pretty good team. Obviously Michigan has the better talent, but they also can't go into this one just sleepwalking. And I'm sure Sharon Moore, in his first game as full-time head coach, he'll get the players ready to go. It's the first game of the season, so I'm sure they'll be ready to go. As far as Fresno State though, getting pressure on the quarterback, forcing Michigan's quarterback to throw the ball, make them have success through the air rather than on the ground. And if they have to, like I said, they could potentially be stacking that box early on in the game, forcing whoever the quarterback is, Alex Orji, Davis Warren, to throw the ball. Again, I expect it to be Alex Orji. And for Michigan's defense, it's going to be a nice challenge for them, like I said. But the secondary, has to be ready. Also, Michigan's defensive line cannot let Mikey Keene have time to throw the ball. Getting pressure on him will be key. And obviously the defensive line just living up to the expectations, stopping the run. It'll only help the Michigan secondary and help Wink Martindale with defending the pass if Michigan's front can stop the run with, just 4 people in the front. So let me know what you guys think about this one and what you guys think about this Fresno State team. I do have Michigan winning 34-7 though, and I think Fresno State, they'll keep it close early, but I think Michigan ultimately takes over. Let me know your guys' score predictions to this one in the comment section, how you see this game going. Can't wait for Saturday to get here, but with that, that's going to wrap up today's video. Again, shout out to BetUS. Make sure you go ahead, check them out down below in the description. I would appreciate it. And hey, make a bet on this game. I think Michigan will cover this one. But with that, hope you guys all have a great rest of your day. If you did go ahead to enjoy, make sure to drop a like, comment down below, and subscribe for more. If you're new around here, I greatly appreciate it. Other than that, we will see you guys in the next video. Go Blue.